After performing titration between sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid, we obtained sodium sulfate salt. So what will we do with this sodium sulfate to transform it into crystals? We did the titration and reached the endpoint, then stopped the titration process. Afterwards, the volume of acid needed is noted. When we run the acid from the burette, we read on the burette how much of this acid is used. So we write it down. We write the volume down, and the same volume of acid and alkali are mixed together in a clean flask without any indicator. When we note the volume of the acid used, we get the same volume of the acid and the base that I want to mix and put them together in a clear flask without an indicator for them to undergo a neutralization reaction. The solution can be crystallized by evaporating it to a point that crystals will form on cooling and leaving it for the crystals to form. So the solution that had been neutralized will undergo crystallization by evaporating it to a point that crystals will form, and then we cool it down, and when it cools, it turns into crystals. The crystals are finally separated from any remaining solution and allowed to dry. So when we see the crystals, the crystallization process ends. If we find part of the solution not crystallized, we remove the crystals and allow the rest to dry for us to obtain sodium sulfate crystals. So this is the equation. Sodium sulfate plus water reacts to give sodium sulfate dot water. So because we have crystallization, so this sodium sulfate salt is water of crystallization. Since if you look at the formula, we have a dot water, which means water of crystallization.